Prisons should be abolished for all but violent offenders. In recent years, the use of imprisonment as a response to crime and violence has constantly arose across the globe. Firstly, prisons cannot be reformed. As much as we would love for that to happen, the very nature of prison requires brutality for the people in prison. Prisons are said to cause physical and mental harm to offenders and can cause psychological stress. Prisons aren't solving any problems, but rather making things worse in society. For example, the recidivism rate is high in 30 states, and prisons do not help the offenders. Even when they get out of prisons, they end up going back to prison because prison only causes pain, mental health issues, and stress to the offenders. Secondly, we need to recognize that prisons are used to punish poor and working class people. The criminal justice system discriminates against the poor. For example, some fees, like public defender fees, are likely to tax on people with lower incomes. So not only are the fees harder for lower income people to pay, but lower income people must pay more types of fee than the other defenders. If the defenders fail to pay this fee, they will end up with consequences such as prisons. Third, prisons should be replaced with a variety of alternative programs. However, most importantly, we must enable all offenders to escape poverty, which is a part of the root that causes every crime. There are now 9 million prisoners worldwide, and the number is growing. The growing number of prisoners leads to often overcrowdedness in prisons. The more prisoners we have, the fewer doctors we have, pastors, lawyers, ministers, and etc. Prisoners also find it hard to keep in contact with their families. Unfortunately, that can lead to anxieties and stress. The Human Rights Court has recognized that the subject of prisons have increasingly recognized that subjecting prisoners to such condition denies their human dignity. And most of the offenders are low-level offenders, and many of them are most likely waiting for trial. But low-level offenders can be dealt with using appropriate alternative instead of being in prison for months or even years. Alternative programs will save a lot of problems while helping the offenders find a better path so that they will become useful in society. But prison just create monsters. Alternative sentencing has lots of advantages, especially for low-level offenders. Alternative sentencing is desirable because it reduces the recreational by allowing the offenders to avoid any prisons and be contributing members of society. Also, with alternative sentencing, the state correction causes decreases.